Happy Halloween, everybody! I'm so excited to be here to host this year's Halloween special once again. As always, this is my favorite day of the year, besides my birthday, of course. So, I'm always really excited to host the Halloween specials, and this year is no exception. Knifey and I are very excited to be here hosting this year. So we've done quite a few Halloween specials over the years, but last year I had actually read Go to Sleep 2012, and it was scary for the reasons of it being clearly written by a 13-year-old and being very angsty. So, because I had so much fun doing that video last year, I figured we should read another popular Creepypasta story this year. And that is, drumroll please, Eyeless Jack's original story. Yeah, we're reading EJ's story this year. And I know you're thinking, why the hell are you reading it, Jeff? Do you really want to listen to Jack read his story through his mask? You know how quietly that guy speaks? Jack doesn't even really talk that much. I talk way too much, so it makes more sense for me to read it. And before we get into the Halloween special, I'd like to take time to show off my Halloween costume. I'm Beetlejuice this year. Last year, actually, I wanted to be Beetlejuice, and everyone would be my employees, like in Beetlejuice 2. But the guys decided they didn't want to do that. We ended up being Ninja Turtle characters instead. I was Casey Jones. So this year, I figured, okay, we'll do Beetlejuice. But everyone decided to do their own thing. Because the FNAF 2 movie's coming out, and the compromise was, okay, we'll all do our own things for Halloween, but for the FNAF 2 movie, we'll do a group costume. And yes, before you ask, I'm being Toy Chica for the FNAF 2 movie. Yeah, because no one else could pull that off. I'm the only one who could. Speak of the devil, here's Toby, once again trying to take my spotlight. Get your own Halloween special and go. Jeff, no, I'm not trying to take your spotlight. We're just here to make sure that you're ready for the Halloween party and just checking up on you. Jeez. Oh, and look, there's my dearly beloved brother, Lou, who decided to show up for a video in this channel. Because apparently I'm too embarrassing, loud, and obnoxious that he doesn't want to spend time with me in these videos. He wants to do his own thing. Yeah, Jeff, I really don't get what your point is. Exactly, because you're just proving me right. I'm not. Anyway, Toby and I just wanted to let you know that we're gonna head out to the Halloween party. Yeah, whatever. Blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna be ready, okay? I'm clearly ready. I should do the intro. Well, we got a little surprise for you. We were also here because Jack heard that you were reading his origin story and he wanted to say hi. What? Oh my god. Why does he always do that? Someone needs to get him a bell. Swear to God. Hello, everyone. Happy Halloween. My apologies in advance if Jeff just makes snarky comments and commentary the whole time. Just be patient. So enjoy the video. We are back again, a year later, to read another infamous Creepypasta story. Very excited. So similar to last year, because I read this on an iPad and I didn't want to seem like an iPad baby, we're going to be using The Last Ronin as like a book cover. I'm going to put the iPad inside and look like I'm reading a book. It's either The Last Ronin or we use the FNAF Encyclopedia. Do you understand why I'm using The Last Ronin? This doesn't look as aesthetic. Why is Freddy holding Nightmare Foxy? Who gave Balloon Boy the audacity to be there? See, I don't know. That's why we're using The Last Ronin. There we go. We're ready to go. Hello, my name is Mitch. I'm here to tell you guys about an experience I had. I don't know if it was paranormal, or whatever stupid words people use to describe supernatural phenomena. But after that thing visited me, I believe that paranormal trash now. Tell me you were a skeptic without telling me you were a skeptic. Jeez, man. A week after I moved in with my brother, Edwin. Don't say it. 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 Did he make the mimic? I'm so sorry, guys. My name is Edwin. I made the mimic. It was difficult to put the pieces together, but unfortunately, they went so wrong. And now I can't do anything but sing this stupid song. My name is Edwin. Edwin. Okay, that's it. I apologize in advance. Anyway, a week after I moved in with my brother Edwin. Stop. After my house was foreclosed, I finished unpacking. Edwin liked the idea of me moving in, since we had not seen each other after 10 years. So I was excited too. Damn. I hope nothing happens to your brother. I soon fell asleep after I moved in. After 1 week, I heard rustling noises from outside at about 1 in the morning. I thought it was a raccoon, so I ignored it and tried to fall asleep. The next morning, I told Edwin about it, and he agreed. Wow. You found a raccoon in the woods. Wow. The next night, however, I thought I heard my window opening and a loud thump, as if something entered my room. I darted up and looked around my room, but I saw nothing. The next morning, Edwin dropped his coffee cup when he saw me. He held up a nearby mirror, and I saw myself. I had a large gash in my left cheek. Oh my god, I wonder how that got there. Oh. After I was rushed to the hospital, my doctor told me that I must have been sleepwalking. But then he showed me something that made my blood turn cold. He lifted up my shirt to reveal a sewn-up incision where my kidneys were. I started in his eyes. Started. Did you not proofread this, dude? I started in his eyes, my eyes widening. You somehow lost your left kidney last night. We don't know how, though. Sorry, Mitch. My doctor told me. Dude. So the dude goes in, because he has like a mysterious gash on his cheek. So he goes to the hospital, and the doctor's like, oh, by the way, your left kidney's gone. Oh, yeah, just letting you know. Heads up. Your left kidney, it's gone. Once you feel pain from the incision, never mind the fucking gash on your cheek. Good thing Mitch is in a horror story because he is like already classic horror protagonist. I think Jack also took his brain. The next night was my breaking point. You mean your breaking point wasn't getting your kidney stolen? This night must be crazy then. Around midnight, I woke up to see a truly horrifying sight. I was staring face to face with a creature with a black hoodie and a dark blue mask, with no mouth or no nose staring down at me. The thing that scared me the most was it had no eyes, just empty black sockets. Okay, that is an iconic line. I grabbed the camera nearby on the mantle and I took a picture. After the picture took, the creature lunged at me and tried to claw open my chest to get to my lungs. So your reaction to waking up with a masked figure standing over you in your bed after you had your kidney stolen was, I'm gonna take a picture. What in the J. Merrick are you doing? Oh, sorry, I had to film this. I know that the picture thing is supposed to tie into the picture that's famous with the Eyeless Jack story, but dude, get your priorities straight. If you can't tell, I'm not a big fan of Mitch. This story is so short, but I don't like Mitch, okay? He's dumb. I stopped it by kicking it in the face. Oh, poor EJ. Poor EJ. As I ran out of my room, I grabbed my wallet. I would need the money. Need the money for what? I ran out my brother's house into the night. I eventually up in the woods near Edwin's house and tripped on a rock. What about Edwin? Oh no. Oh no. I fell unconscious and woke up in the hospital. My doctor entered the room. Oh god, the best doctor ever. Mr. You somehow lost your kidneys back. The same one who treated me before. I have good news and bad news, Mitch. Imagine that's how your doctor, like, oh, by the way, I have good news and bad news. The good news is that you had minor injuries and your parents are gonna pick you up. I sigh in relief. The bad news is your brother has been killed by something. Sorry. So I know sometimes doctors have bad bedside manner because they treat so many patients and see so much shit that they become desensitized. Like, I know that that's a bit of a stereotype, but this is some of the worst bedside manner I've ever seen in a story. Like, oh, sorry, your brother somehow died. Sorry. My god. My parents took me back to Edwin's house to collect my remaining belongings, which I did. Upon entering my room, I was scared, but remained calm. I grabbed my camera and then stopped dead in my tracks. In the hallway leading to my room, I saw Edwin's body and something small lying next to it. So they know that Edwin died. So I'm assuming there's a police investigation or something. Did the coroner not come to collect the fucking body? That is a biohazard. The fuck do you mean his body's just sitting there? Has the coroner not come yet? And I thought Go to Sleep from last year had leaps in logic. I picked up the small thing and entered my parents' card, not mentioning Edwin's corpse. What? I feel bad for Edwin. Mitch is a shit brother. Oh my god. I thought I was a bad brother, but... Yikes. I looked at the thing I had picked up and nearly vomited. I was holding my stolen, half-eaten kidney with some black substance on it. Dude. Would have you not felt that you were holding a literal organ? See, I was criticizing Go to Sleep last year. I know I keep saying it. I was criticizing Go to Sleep last year so much, but... This story honestly reads like a Reddit post. It doesn't really read... I know it's supposed to feel like it was a paranormal experience and the guy's posting it, but it reads like an Am I the Asshole post. So I'm going to rank this as if it was an Am I the Asshole post. So starting off with Mitch, we're going to give him 4 out of 5 assholes. And I know what you're thinking. Mitch is the victim here. Why are you giving such a high asshole score? He could have saved his brother. He ran out of the house. Maybe grab your brother because you know that an intruder attacked you. Maybe that's a little bit of a harsh score. Maybe like 3.5, but I don't know. I feel like if Mitch had grabbed his brother, he would have been okay, but he just left him in there to die. Edwin gets 0 out of 5 assholes. Or maybe 0.5 because he made the mimic. Sorry, I had to. But no, 0 assholes. The doctor gets 1.5 out of 5 assholes because his bedside manners were terrible. That's not how you address bad news of, first of all, someone's brother dying and then them losing their kidney. And EJ, my boy EJ, in this story, gets 4.5 out of 5 assholes. I know what you're thinking, why doesn't EJ get 5? He killed Edwin. Well, he let Mitch live. So. And he left his kidney there as a little present, so. I can't give him the full 5. I feel like that's a little too harsh. You're looking at the runtime of this video right now, and you're thinking, there's still some video left. What the hell is Jeff gonna do? Yap again? Yeah. So because the original Eyeless Jack story is so short, and like I said, it reads like an Am I the Asshole post, I couldn't do a full video on it. Even if I yapped my ass off and talked the whole time and made commentary the whole time, I couldn't milk it into a full video. Like, there's only so much I could do. I didn't want to disappoint you guys with just a really quick story. So, as a bonus, and because this is a sequel, we had to one-up last year, I'm going to be reading the most famous fan-made origin story for EJ, which is the cult origin story made by Sally's creator, as a bonus, because at least this one, it's well written, and it has a story like Go to Sleep last year. Because once again, the original story reads like an Am I the Asshole post. It reads like a fucking Reddit post. So, that's my treat to you guys. Click, click, click. Jack continued pressing the button on the remote, ideally watching the different channels pop up before changing again. Nothing really came on during weekends, surprisingly. Nothing but paid programming and other TV shows he didn't enjoy. Sighing, the college student rose up from his sofa, making his way to the desk resting against the wall next to his bed. He was already done with homework, finishing most of it in class that day. Unlike his roommate, Jack could get his shit done fast enough to have the rest of the day to himself and do whatever. 'Cause he's smart. He wasn't feeling to play any video games. Didn't really want to drive out anywhere. Slipping his black hoodie off his chair, Jack slipped it on and grabbed his dorm keys, shoving them in his pocket after closing the door behind him. So young with his whole life ahead of himself. I hope everything turns out well for him. A nice walk around the campus should do the trick. Fresh air usually calmed him down. If not, helped him think. Lately, he'd been feeling different. Oh god, please don't tell me these are going to be like the feelings in Go to Sleep. Please don't tell me Jack is going to get those feelings where he just wants to hurt people. Oh my god, I can't do it that again. I can't. God, I hope they don't go in that direction. Because that was so weird last year. He knew it wasn't his body or college himself. He didn't have any girlfriends to worry about. No bitches? Jack rubbed his temples, pushing the door leading outside with his foot. A gust of wind swept across, slamming the door behind him. It was around 6 p.m. The sky was mixed with both orange and blue. The further the sky grew, the darker it got. Curfew, surprisingly, was 12 o'clock, midnight. He never really questioned it vocally, but always wondered why it was so late. Usually curfew was around 8 p.m. where he lived. Hi, Jack! The male looked up to see one of the girls in his class. She most likely had just left class, considering she still had her book bag on her shoulder. Jack half smiled and rose a hand to greet her. It was, what was her name again? Jenny! Jenny Smith. Hey Jenny, just now leaving class? Jenny smiled and nodded her head, adjusting the strap. It's pretty late. What made you stay so long? The girl's smile lost its brightness for a split second before reviving. Just a study session. We have finals coming up soon, you know. Best to stay on the ball. What a fucking nerd. She giggled before tucking her hair behind her ear. What are you doing out here anyway? It's gonna storm tonight. Jack shrugged his shoulders before eyeing the sky, smelling the air for moisture. Yep, it would rain any second. Just came out for some fresh air is all. Got done homework in class and stuff. Didn't feel like playing any video games or watching TV, so I just came out here. Jenny nodded her head ever so slightly, showing him she was paying attention, and smiled again. Hee hee hee. Well, you got your air. I gotta go though. I'll see you later. Before Jack could reply with a goodbye, the girl quickly dashed off past him, following the sidewalk up around the side of the dorms. Jack rose a brown curiosity, his mind zipping with questions, only to have it cut off by a drop of rain, then another, and another. Shit, he muttered, running back to the door to get back inside, not wanting to get too soaked in the rain. Another slam of the door rose up behind him. Jack started shaking his fingers through his hair, sending water droplets everywhere while wiping off the rain from his face and jacket. As he made his way back to his dorm room, Jack began fishing through his pockets for his keys, whistling a random tune while he traveled up the 2 flights of stairs, listening to the tune echo out in all directions. It was kind of creepy, now he thought about it. Where was everyone? It was too quiet for a Friday evening. Jack, they're out partying, you nerd. They're at the frat houses and sorority houses. Jack. Jack. There were usually people up and about. Maybe lots of students stayed behind for tutoring. Yeah, I'm sure that's what they're doing right now on a Friday night, sure. Maybe some went home for the weekend. Maybe people are already in bed or in their dorms, being very, very quiet. The naive boy. Oh, poor Jack. Oh, God. Jack sighed as he began unlocking the door, shoving his keys back in his pocket after the door closed behind him. Yo, Greg, you here? Nothing. No response. Just the sound of rain hitting against the windows. Guess he's studying too. That's a first. Jack made his way over to the bed, slumping down to get ready to sleep. Go to sleep. Oh. He pulled off his hoodie, kicking his shoes off, and rolled over to face the wall, not bothering with the covers. He just wanted some sleep. Closing his eyes, Jack slowly began to doze off, the rain practically lulling him to sleep. Praise turn above, for his blood-stained hand will bring salvation to all of us. He shall bring us closer to our everlasting paradise. He is our Lord and Savior. Praise Turnabog! Praise Turnabog! Jack let out a gut-wrenching gasp for air, waking in a cold sweat. His eyes darted from one corner to another before rising up from his spot. He panted, feeling his hands trembling from the dream he had just had. Jack looked around his room, revealing that his roommate Greg was in bed. He could tell he was asleep from the dreaded snoring that came out from him. He himself was surprised he could sleep through it. Slowly exhaling through his mouth, Jack rose up his bed, staggering to the mini-fridge on the other side of the room, his mind churning with questions. What kind of dream was that? Never experienced one so real. Grabbing a water bottle from the mini-fridge, Jack began gulping down the water, not caring if he woke Greg up. Letting out a cold sigh, Jack tossed the now empty water bottle in the recycling bin. At least he recycles. Now making his way to the bathroom, he stopped in front of the mirror, his hands gripping the sides of the sink as he eyed himself. He was pale, eyes borderlining bloodshot. Groaning, he let his head hang low, fighting the urge to vomit. Man, what the he murmured, running his hand across his forehead to wipe away more sweat. That's what I get for playing survival horror games, he thought to himself, slightly smiling as he began brushing off the whole thing. Get it together, Jack. It was only a dream. Dreams don't come true. You've just played too much Silent Hill is all. No big deal. Just go back to sleep and get some decent rest. Easier said than done. That morning, Jack felt something shake him awake. Dude, Jack, wake up, bro. You've got to see this. Jack let out a tired, irritated groan from under the covers, slowly pulling them down to see what Greg wanted. The blonde grinned and flashed a photo on his phone in his face. Guess who got laid last night? It was a picture of some topless girl on his lap, posing for the camera. Also, I'm sure that picture was just for you, dude. You don't have to share it to your roommate. Anyway, she looks drunk, Jack muttered sleepily, his hands slowly rubbing the sleepies from his eyes. Greg blew air through his pursed lips, rolling his eyes as he closed his flip phone. Damn, how old is this story? You're just jealous. Bullshit. I'd rather have a life than get some chick pregnant at college. He's got his priorities straight. Touche, good sir, but fuck you. I use protection. Whatever. Jack began pulling the covers back over his head, feeling the weight of his friend's rise off of his bed. Good, he could get back to sleep. Dude, I had such a weird dream last night. Jack paused when his mind processed the word weird dream and was instantly awake. Really? Me too. What was it about? Greg shrugged his shoulders, his fingers flying across the numbers on his cell, forming a text to his girlfriend. I hope the picture was your girlfriend. Yikes. I had a dream where my grandpa blew up like a balloon and started chasing me around with a giant fly swatter. Jack's fear and anxiety dropped. He turned his head to look at him. What the hell, dude? Greg laughed and snapped his cell shut. I know, right? Fucking hate that hag. Wouldn't it surprise me if she completely dislikes me? Oh, I said grandpa, didn't I? Grandma. Damn, come on, Jeff. I broke so much shit in her house as a kid. Jack rolled his eyes, fully pulling the covers over his head, wanting to get more sleep. Greg looked over and rose a brow. You said you were dreaming. You said you had a dream, right? You remember it? Jack laid there in silence, wanting to just leave it already. The blonde furrowed his brows and began nudging Jack's back with his foot. Come on, tell me. I know you're awake. I had a dream about some guy preaching. And you say my dream is weird. I never said your dream was weird, but it is. Anyways, go on. Greg pulled his knees up, resting his arms on them as he listened. Jack sighed and rose up from warm salvation asleep. There was this guy preaching about some guy named Chernobog, and that he'd lead everyone to paradise with bloodstained hands. They were dressed in these weird-looking robes and wore these weird masks. Jack looked over to his friend, watching him get a weird look. Bro, you played way too much Silent Hill. Jack smiled a little and shrugged his shoulders, relieved that his friend also thought the same thing. What can I say? I love horror games. Jack spent most of his morning studying for finals, wanting to get school-related stuff out of the way before he could enjoy the weekend. Greg left to meet up with his girlfriend, telling Jack he'd be back around 6. It was usual on Sundays when the two sat down together and played one of the many horror games until it was time for bed. Sighing, he turned the last page over on his notes packet, memorizing his handwriting slowly. Suddenly, a knock at the door tore him away from his studying. Jack turned his head and eyed the door, then rose up from his desk to answer the door. Pulling it open, he was surprised to see Jenny standing in front of the door. Oh, hey, Jenny. Jenny smiled and waved. Hi, Jack. What are you doing inside on Saturday? Jack looked back to his desk before turning back to the girl. I'm getting my studying done early so I can enjoy the rest of the day of relaxation. Jenny nodded her head understandingly and placed her hand on her hips. Well, I'm sure you've done enough studying. You should come outside. Everyone's doing something today. Jack mentally sighed in relief. Good, so people were here today. Probably hungover. I'll come out when I'm done, I guess. Jenny giggled and nodded again. Hee okay, see you later. As just like that, the student was off in a flash. Jack smiled a little before closing the door. Making his way back to his desk, he sat down, began rereading the page of his notes, keeping everything fresh in his mind. Then it hit him. How did Jenny know what dorm he was in? They never really talked to each other, let alone share dorm room numbers. It kind of gave him a creepy feeling at first, but then his realist side thought otherwise. Maybe she saw him coming in this room once without noticing. Maybe Greg told her where he lived, and it just so happened that Greg and he shared rooms. Shaking his head in frustration, Jack rubbed his temples. You're overanalyzing everything, Jack. No need to fret over pointless stuff, he said to himself, running his fingers through his hair. Maybe he was done studying for the day. Again, swiping his hoodie off the chair and slipped it back on, along with his shoes before heading outside. When he got to the bottom of the stairs, he felt himself breathe another sigh of relief when he saw how many students were up and about. Glad he wasn't the only one going crazy. He watched as some people played ball, tossing either a football or baseball. Girls were huddled in groups outside, talking about Lord knows what. Not that he cared. He was just happy to see people. Just then, a hand creeped over his shoulder. Jack looked back to see none other than Jenny. Again. Oh, hey, Jenny. The girl smiled. Hee, you're outside of that dark room. Took my advice to come out, eh? Jack smiled nervously, giving a nod or two. You should hang out with me and my friends. We're gonna go for a walk in the woods. Seems innocent enough. Jack rose a questioning brow. For what? Jenny laughed. We're just hanging out at our place. Come on, don't be a wuss. Jack felt a little hesitant at first, but he slowly came around and agreed to follow. Jenny grabbed him by the hand and began tugging him along, making sure he was close. Hurry, come off to the cave. The cave? Jack asked, watching the forest grow bigger with every step. Our hangout, silly. Sarah found it at the beginning of the year, so we decided to make it a hangout area for all of us. Us? Jack asked again, looking back over his shoulder, watching the school
slowly getting consumed by trees. Me, Sarah, Bobby, Fred, and Luna. You ask a lot of questions. Jack couldn't help but let out a nervous laugh. Sorry, I don't mean to. I've just been having a rough weekend is all. Jenny looked back at him and smiled. It's okay, we all have our days. As minutes passed on, the two walked around what seemed like an invisible path that only Jenny could see. Jack couldn't help but begin to worry. He was about to open his mouth to ask another question until the girl released his hand, punching her fist in the air. We're here, she sang, running ahead of the boy. Jack looked up to see a rather large cave next to a babbling brook. He watched as two girls and boys appeared from inside, greeting Jenny happily, until they saw Jack. Their smiles faded and they began to lean to Jenny, whispering while keeping their eyes on him. Poor Jack. They're not being subtle at all. Jack felt a little nervous, feeling as if he shouldn't be there and that he should go back to the dorm and play Silent Hill. Man, he loves Silent Hill. But you didn't see that happen. But Jenny looked back as well, gesturing for him to come forwards like it was okay. The brunette took a deep breath before making his way over, eyeing over everyone but Jenny. All of them didn't look pleased, despite their forced smiles. Hey. Jack rose a hand, giving a wave. Sarah eyed him over before crossing arms. Hi, she said bluntly. Hey, said Bobby and Luna. Sup, said Fred, shoving his hands in his pockets. Fred's cool, I guess. What's he doing here, Jen? I thought it was just going to be you. Jenny rolled her eyes at Sarah's statement and wrapped an arm around Jack, her free hand patting him on the chest. Well, someone's got a crush. I thought it would be cool if you guys met Jack. He's a really cool guy. Honest. Luna and Bobby looked at each other while Fred nodded. I've heard about him. Straight-A student, smart kid. Fred walked over to Jack and began leading him inside the cave, rambling on about what kind of video games he liked. Sarah shot daggers towards Jenny giving her the stink eye back. What the hell do you think you're doing, Jen? You can't let outsiders into... He's not gonna find anything out. Be nice for a change, Sarah. Sarah glared, then grumbled under her breath, followed by Fred. Luna and Bobby looked at one another before going in as well. Tension. The group settled inside, everyone huddled around a fire in a circle. Jack sat in between Jenny and Fred while the others completed their small circle. Jack felt uncomfortable, especially with Sarah giving him dirty looks ever so often. But surprisingly, the evening wasn't all that bad. Everyone got to know each other a little bit more about him, asking questions and talking about what they enjoyed doing, talking about school and exams. Jack looked over the cave as they spoke. It was cool inside. They had tables and desks, places where they had set up books. They even had a compartment for food. It really was a nice place to hang out. I guess I was worried about nothing, Jack thought, smiling at the comment Fred made. Again? There was a sudden clap of thunder from the distance, causing the group to look outside the entrance of the cave. Another storm? Sarah complained. This girl complains about everything. Rising up with a book bag over her shoulders. I'm leaving. Last thing I want to do is get caught in a storm. Bye. Sarah turned around on heel and ran over to the bike resting up against a tree. As she rode back to school, Luna and Bobby both rose up together. We don't want to get wet either. We'll catch up with you guys later, okay? Luna said, smiling over to Jack and the others. The duo both pulled their book bags off the ground, running off to try and beat the storm. Fred didn't move. I'm going to stay here for a bit. There's some things I need to get back here. You guys can go ahead if you want. Jack looked over to Jenny before getting up off the stool. Yeah, I'm going to go back. Greg is probably back and might be wondering where I am. Jenny smiled and looked up at him. Okay, I'm going to help Fred. Just follow the same path back to the school. I'll see you later, Jack. Jack smiled and waved goodbye to the two. He too making his way out of the cave and into the forest. It shouldn't be too hard to get back, if he followed Luna and Bobby from afar. An hour passed. Jack began unlocking his dorm room with his keys, opening up the door to find Greg on his laptop on the sofa. Greg looked up and smiled. Yo, Jack, where you been? He asked, surprised that Jack had stepped out altogether. I was invited to come look at some secret base in the forest behind the school, he replied. Yeah, so secret you're giving him the general area, he replied, closing the door behind him as he kicked his shoes off. Greg rose a brow, closing the laptop. Oh, really? Invited by who? You know that girl Jenny in our first period class? Greg smiled slowly faded. Dude, she's weird. Jack furrowed his brows in confusion. What do you mean she's weird? Weird like how? How naive are you, Jack? How naive are you? We're all getting the vibes that she's weird. Greg looked away nervously before answering. You know the kind of shit she reads, right? She has like books upon books about these freaky-ass cults. I shit you not. Jack rolled his eyes before walking over to the dresser. Dude, I'm serious. You probably shouldn't hang out with her. People who read that stuff are messed up in the head. Yeah, whatever, Jack replied, rummaging through Is close? I'm gonna take a shower. We have another storm coming. Greg blinked and looked back at the window. Aw, man, really? I was gonna go with Gabby tonight. He moaned sadly, watching the clouds turn to a deep gray. Jack chuckled at his friend before going into the shower. Jack, wake up! Wake up, Jack! Jack felt Greg shake him, groaning in anger. Oh, what? What is it? He asked, looking up at Greg nervously. Greg looked over to the window. Dude, someone's out in the forest lighting fires. Do what? Someone is outside lighting fires. Look. Greg pulled him out of his bed and pointed out towards the window. Jack sighed, still rubbing his eyes before looking out the window. To his surprise, there was a fire lit, but it was far back into the woods, almost around the area where Jenny's selected base was. Well, I'll be damned. There is a fire. No shit. He muttered, noticing that the storm had stopped. What time is it? 2 a.m. We should go back and check it. That looks like where the little hideout is. Greg gave Jack a freaked out look of, you're out of your fucking mind. Yeah, exactly, Jack. Use your brain! What? I'm sure there's a perfectly good explanation why someone's out there lighting fires. If you're really that concerned, call the fire department. But no, nobody in these stories can use their brain. Yeah, for lighting cults. Jack shot a look at him. Dude, get over yourself. There is no cult. You sure? I call bullshit. I'm not going. You chicken? He asked, watching Greg get flustered. Dude, seriously, don't go. Last thing you want is to get in trouble. Jack rolled his eyes. Whatever, I'm gonna check it out. If there's something wrong, I'll report to the headmaster. Call the fire department if you're really that concerned. So book smart, but absolutely no common sense in that brain of his. Like, no common sense. You don't see the red flags? They're waving the red flags everywhere. You could wave a red flag in this version of Jack's face and he'd be like, oh, I don't see anything. Jack changed out of his pajamas, dressing in jeans, a blue t-shirt, along with his black hoodie and shoes, pulling out their emergency flashlight from the desk drawer. Jack walked over to the door. I'll see you in a bit, he called out, watching Greg shake his head. It's giving the same vibes as last year when the doctor was like, oh, if Jeff's behavior continues to get worse, just bring him back over here. Because you know Jack's not coming back. Curiosity killed the cat, man. Killed the cat, he called back, watching the door close. See, Greg's the only one with sense in this story. Jack pulled his hood over his head and began making his way down the stairs. It was probably just Jenny and her friends hanging out at their spot late at night. I mean, loads of people do that, right? The second he walked outside, Jack felt the air shift from normal to damp and chilly. He began making his way towards the forest, using the flashlight as much as he could to follow the path Jenny led him from the previous day. Jack started growing nervous, listening to the sounds of life, of night in the forest. Easy now, Jack. There's absolutely nothing that can hurt you in this forest. Nothing. You ever heard of bears? Or wolves? Or coyotes? This man has no common sense. It's giving Jay Merrick. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go in the middle of the woods. Also, why doesn't he just call Jenny? Like, I know it's a horror story and this has to happen for Eyeless Jack to happen, but Jack, use your brain. Aren't you smart? No common sense, though. No common sense. Minutes passed as Jack finally began getting closer to the cave Jenny showed him before. He could see the dim light from afar, and talking, loud talking, but it sounded like Jenny or Bobby, or anyone else from the group. The closer he got, the clearer the voice. Turning off his flashlight, Jack peeked around a tree, and that's what shook him to his core. There, standing outside of the cave, was a group of robed people. Judging by their height, they were students, both male and female. They all wore black robes and blue mouthless masks with big eyeless holes. One of them began stepping up to the podium. He rose his hands in the air. Thank you, my brothers and sisters, for joining me on this night of nights. Tonight is the night where we summon our Lord and Savior, Chernobog. The group below him cried and called out things like, praise Chernobog and all hail Chernobog. Tonight is a night when Chernobog will be chosen as sacrifice, the one who will lead us to paradise and free us from this hell. The group of students began cheering, chanting the name of Chernobog. Jack shook his head in disbelief, slowly backing up from the tree he hid behind. Well, I guess Greg was right. Damn. Oh my god, there really is a cult, he murmured. Jack had turned to run back to the school, only to be stopped by Jenny, who was standing there the whole time. Jenny, thank God you're here. Jack ran over to her. There's a cult thing. We gotta go tell someone. Jenny smiled. Cult? There is no cult, Jack. You're just overreacting. She chuckled, suddenly feeling Jack shake her by the arms. No, listen to me. We need to get out. Jack's words were cut off by some rock against his head. Is Alex Crayley here or something? You broke his leg with a block of cement! His eyes fluttered slightly, stumbling back before collapsing on the ground with a thud. Blurry figures began circling around him as he watched Jenny smile down at him. Then everything went black. Should've listened to your roommate, Jack. Should've listened to your roommate. Jack awoke from a bucket of cold water being dumped over his head. Blood trickled down the side of his head, onto his ear and side of his face. He winced, feeling his head throb in pain. The second he remembered the last thing he saw, he gasped, looking to see he was sitting in front of everyone. His arms were firmly behind his back. His arms were bound firmly behind his back, I'm sure is what they want to say. The leader of the cult walked up in front of him and smiled under the mask. Chernabog has found a sacrifice. Hail Chernabog, he called, listening as the group repeated the phrase. Jack attempted to struggle, the pain of his head fighting against him. You shall become one of Chernabog's sons, the chosen one to live upon the wretched world and do his bidding. The group cried the phrase once again. Jack shook his head as fast as he could. No, no, no! All you are crazy! Let me go! He yelled. The leader laughed, turning the group behind him. Come on, my brothers and sisters, help me change the non-believer into a son of Chernabog. The group chanted the phrase, stepping closer to form a large circle around him. Praise Chernabog for his blood. The same thing from before. I'm not repeating it because it's getting annoying repeating it. You know the chant. He cried once again. Jack listened as the group began chanting in different language. He felt his heartbeat growing faster, watching one of the group members walk before them with a tray of tools and other queer objects. Slay. The person pulled their mask off, revealing it to be Jenny. She smiled, taking a spoon from the tray. Isn't this great, Jack? The great Lord Chernabog has chosen you to be his son. Jack shook his head, tears flowing from his eyes. I knew you'd be the one. This chick's crazy. No, Jenny, no, please. Please don't do this, he begged, watching her stop in front of him. She giggled, placing her hand on his forehead. Oh, all hail Chernabog. The girl then stabbed the spoon in his left eye. Ignoring the cries of pain Jack let out. I can't do eye stuff. He squirmed and struggled against the two who held him down, his eyes being gouged out from its sockets. Hold still, Jack. You'll make me kill you. Jenny said with complete calmness as she began working on the other eye, watching blood spurt and trickle down his face. So gross. Still ignoring his cries and pleas, the leader stepped in, holding a bowl of black hot ooze in his hands. Behold the sight of Chernabog, he called, watching Jenny hold his head still and began pouring the tar-like liquid inside his eye sockets. So gross. Jack let a blood-curdling scream of pain. Yeah, I don't blame him. Feeling the substance overflow and trickle down his eyelids. Placing his hand on Jack's forehead, the leader began chanting the same language as the others, watching as Jack's body became limp and lifeless. He watched as Jenny held the book open to a passage in a different language. Rise, great Lord Chernabog, rise and take the vessel of blah, blah, blah. Panting heavily, Jack rose up from the now dead body of Bobby, yanking off the mask he wore, like the others, standing up, and looked over the massacre he created. Yeah, Jack, great job, yeah! His hood and pants stained with blood, scalpel in hand. Jack turned to the last living person, Jenny, borderline death, watching as he stepped above her. His skin had turned black, teeth sharpened to a point, nails long and sharp. He wasn't human anymore. He's Eyeless Jack now, Mama Jack. Yeah, our favorite eyeless boy is here. She smiled, blood leaking from her mouth as she spoke. Yeah, this chick's crazy. Release me into everlasting paradise. Jack growled low, teeth showing. You don't deserve paradise. None of you do. Sick! Sick-ass burn, Jack, yeah! He knelt down, swiping the mask from the ground. Burn in hell. All of you. Jenny watched as he pulled the mask on, the black substance trickling down onto the mask from his eyes. It's great imagery. She grabbed a hold of his ankle weakly, begging to be released to paradise, only to have him pull away from her before walking to the shadows. She cried, tears rolling down her face, as she called out to him under her last breath. Yeah, Jack, leave her stranded. I mean, she led you to death. Wait. Lead me to death, lead me to the Ark. Oh! I gotta get my Marble Horns reference in there somewhere. I gotta say, the ending of the story, like the imagery of it, especially that it leaves it to the imagination. You don't read about the massacre that happened, you just kind of see the aftermath of it. It's so good. Like, you could just imagine all the cultists, bodies on the ground, like, dismembered, and just the aftermath of it. Oh, and that sick line Jack said. That's why I love EJ. He's awesome. This is why EJ is so cool. He's just, like, cold as ice. He's awesome. This just in. A group of students have been slaughtered at West Point College. Autopsy reveals everyone's kidneys have been removed for unknown reasons. Many believe it has to do with the supposed cultist act of the school. Student Jack Nicholas has been reported missing. More tonight at 10. Or at 9. Ooh. And that's not a sarcastic slow clap, by the way. I know last year I did a sarcastic slow clap. So because the original story for EJ is infamously not the best, this one's pretty cool. One thing that's great about EJ is that because his original story is so vague, he's open to interpretation. And it's really cool seeing the fandom's different interpretations. This is obviously the most famous. Jack just had no common sense, but I guess sometimes when you're that smart, you lack common sense. Not the origin story for the EJ from this channel, because if you don't already know, we're all like headcanon versions of the characters. Jack's origin is different, but still similar. Fun origin story to read. I love reading about a naive college EJ.
So I hope that you guys enjoyed this year's Halloween special. As always, I love hosting these. You know, it just brings joy to my dark, empty heart. I hope you guys all enjoy your Halloween this year. Let me know who you're dressing up as. I want to hear who you guys are dressing up as. That's the best part about Halloween. It's so much fun seeing what everyone's going at. But until next time, Jeff the Killer out.